Hello, everyone. I'm Greg Gutfeld, along with Kimberly Guilfoyle, Bob Beckel, Eric Bolling, and she's America's hero in a size 0. It's Dana Perino. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and we are the third prime number.
California Republicans I just showed you are 30% of registration in the states because they're really stupid and racist. Republicans are 82% white. The Republican Party of California, as I say all the time, on the record, in print, and on radio and on TV, is the last vestige of any real white people, and that's what this is.
And there you have it, America, the gray California long-tailed liberal, spotted in its native habitat, otherwise known as the radical professor, Pinko for short. True, they're everywhere, but they only come out when it's safe, usually in front of meek students on comfy campuses where dissent is suppressed by intimidation and threat of bad grades. You think this guy is unique? At Columbia or at Berkeley, he'd be considered a right-winger. I credit the young student who, like a seasoned ornithologist, caught the progressive parrot on tape at his poli-sci class at USC for all parents to see. Let's take another look at what passes for intellectual rigor.
The person who's less likely to change their mind about anything is an old white guy. Old white guys are stubborn sons of bitches. They just are. I don't think very many swing female voters identify with Ann Romney. Ann Romney looks to me like she's out of 1955. She looks like she's, hanging out at the country club in Mad Men.
What is it, open mic night? That's not a professor, but a warden incarcerating minds in a place of open debate. How is that not a hostile work environment? How can his attacks not count as sexist, racist, ageist? The guy's mind is like most liquor stores on Sundays, closed. So yesterday we asked you, how do you hold the left-wing hive accountable for their misdeeds? This is how. Like the student Tyler Talgo, you shine a flashlight on a roach. More students must hold instructors like Professor Schrago accountable because their bosses won't. When you have campuses cradling violent fiends like Weather Underground bombers Bill Ayers, Bernadine Dorn, and Kathy Boding, the only recourse parents and kids have is to take them out yourself. Dana?
Yes.
Do you know how much it costs to go to USC?
More than I had.
$12, actually. No, 60.
I went to USC, but it was Southern Colorado.
Oh.
But I used to impress people by
no one cares about that. Are they getting what they pay for? 62 grand. That includes tuition, room, and board.
Well, given the unemployment rate of 20-year-olds that are just graduated from college, I would say yeah.
Yeah.
They probably are. The thing about this guy, his classes are so riveting.
Yes.
You just imagine that all week long you cannot wait to go to that professor's class. He also reminded me of, remember the guys that graduated from college, but they still hung out with the high school seniors?
Yes.
Because they want to be that guy.
Yes.
They want to buy the beer. They want to be so cool. They want to be like, I'm so funny. I'm so great.
It's Wooderson from Dazed and Confused, but not as cool. He is actually trying to be an amateur comedian and not a professor, and all of his jokes fell flat. Bob, I know what you're going to say. This is not reflective of all the left. However, every day we're building this database of horrible, horrible ideologues masquerading as teachers.
Well, you got 8 or 9 now out of 55,000. That's a good start. Look, this guy clearly does not belong in the classroom. The things he said were off the wall, outrageous, and he's a political science professor, which really bothers me. Although I never took a political science course in my life, which is maybe why I ran the largest loss.
Isn't that your degree, though?
No, it's not political science. But look, here's the thing about there was certain grains of truth to what he was saying, which is that the Republican Party is a much more white party than it was in the past. But the rest of this stuff, the Ann Romney stuff, I thought was just outrageous. But this is not reflective of professors in most universities in America because you want to make it everybody.
I do, because that's true.
Yeah.
Eric, I saw you grimace.
No, I grimaced when Bob said, there's certain things about what he said was true. It's the Republican Party. What did you say? Republican Party are a lot of
heavily weighted.
That's not what he said. He said the GOP are old, stupid, white racists is what he said. And several times he said, old white guys. By the way, isn't he an old white guy?
He is an old white guy.
No mirrors in your house?
But that's ageist, racist, and guyist.
He trashes Republicans. He accuses Republicans of voter fraud with no examples. He trashes Ann Romney, said she's like out of 1955. He trashes the Tea Party, accuses them of voter fraud. He goes on to some yada, yada, yada. Okay, so what? So you have a liberal professor spewing Democrat propaganda in the classroom. The question is, What's USC going to do?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Let's wait and find out what they do, because that'll be telling on where USC is. Just like MSNBC has, their liberal robots saying what they're going to say. Well, if it's on their airwaves, then they're responsible.
We're leaving on our airwaves the impression that this is representative of most college professors.
But Bob, there are studies that say it is representative, and there are liberal professors who say, "Yeah, we're liberal. This is our turf." It's like that's their version of their corporation. That's
you wouldn't find very many calling Republicans white racist old men. I mean, that's just it's nice for the show to have it, and I understand that, and we'll go ahead and do it. So beat up on me. Go to Kimberly.
All right, Kimberly.
About time.
If you're a parent, or so you claim. We really don't have proof of that.
We have proof of marriages.
Yes,
we do.
What if you were watching that and your student is at USC? What would you do?
My child is a student at USC?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
You're not old enough for that.
Yeah, no, I'm really not.
Let's say you're dating a young man, an undergrad at USC.
Exactly.
Would you call...
It stands for University of Spoiled Children. But by the way, go Trojans, love USC. Even
and
though I'm
the
an
team.
Girl.
Yeah. Wait, the Trojans... Yeah, is that USC?
Yes.
Oh, I thought there was UCLA Bruins. Never mind. Go ahead.
You thought Trojans was something else.
Listen, here's the deal. The guy's not apologizing, okay? This wasn't a rant. He doesn't even care that he was caught. He told Fox News, exactly, that's what I meant to say. I stand by it. If anybody's a bad guy, it's a student that he thinks is bad because he taped this surreptitiously.
That's true.
But this is what you get in college campuses. Thank God I graduated a long time ago because my professors at UC Davis, no relationship to USC, were great. My political science professors did not behave in this fashion. Professor Moore, wonderful. Professor Gates, handsome and wonderful.
Oh.
So, what can I tell you? This guy, I would have dropped him like that.
And more
Professor Moore.
Yeah,
He's just wonderful. He's not handsome and wonderful.
He's weeping right now, going, if she only knew.
And,
He loved Reagan like
most
I
of the
did, so he gets
professors in
bonus
college
points.
are just like those old professors you had.
My
These are not
professors-
Greg's stereotype. Greg
my
is trying to
professors were
build
not
the
old.
ideal professor.
I don't have to. I don't have to, Bob. It's built for me. You open up the paper every day.
How's this, Bob? Why don't you take the video that you found of a conservative professor spewing conservative ideals to all the students, and we'll watch it on the file.
Give me 3 days at Claremont McKenna.
Fine.
Danny, here's
You
the thing.
can't go there. You're like an endangered species there.
What I found interesting is what Eric was saying is how he was talking about how Republicans suppress voting, and then he advocated voter suppression. Isn't that kind of a fireable offense? Not that I'm calling for his firing. I'm just raising the question.
Well, and I guess it's not fireable. I mean, he's allowed to say, and if USC is comfortable with this professor, I guess that's their thing. He also says Romney tends to make S-word up. Sort of like Senator Harry Reid saying that Romney never paid any income taxes.
Yeah.
But that's what he goes on to say, that Romney was, that Bain Capital never released his taxes. But none of that ends up being true. This was taken a few months ago, and it was released by Campus Reform. So there are people out there who want reform. They want better schools. And I just remember political science class being this place where you could have great debates, like being here on the 5. You could say, well, that's a crazy idea. Why do you think that? And the professor just guided the conversation.
Right.
Like being here on the 5. Balanced.
And there is the guy.
That's the Socratic method that you're referring to that's used in law school.
This is Professor Daryl Shrego.
Derry Shrego.
Shrego.
Derry
Shrego.
Yes. He's the one on the right, by the way. That's a plant.
The old white guy on the left right now.
Rand Paul are more important.
Can I just point something out? One of the things that I found the most outrageous, forget he was trashing, those are bad, but he said every campaign, and this is leading up to the presidential election, every campaign has a message. President Obama's message was, vote for Obama, he's going to create jobs, he's going to create peace, and protect Social Security. Mitt Romney's campaign, he says, was vote for Romney because Obama's all effed up, and he used the real word. I mean, really? I mean, can you be more biased than that?
Yeah, but let me tell you something. This is a serious situation because parents are paying a lot of money to educate their children, and this guy is spewing this kind of ignorance and hate for it. Parents that have kids at USC, call the university and do something about it. Pull your kid out of this class or ask them to pull this guy.
Let's remember
one thing. Pull your kid out of this professor.
Can we say one thing? That the United States of America has the best universities and colleges of any place in the world.
You know what?
Bar none.
What, UC system? This isn't part of the UC.
Here's an interesting fact. In the year ending June 30th, 2012, the revenues, USC, totaled $3.23 billion. Of that, $324 million, roughly 10%, came from government contracts and grants, which is taxpayer money. So you're paying for this guy.
Which is where some of the great discoveries have been found in universities.
True.
What?
No,
What are you doing this for? You got a helicopter or what?
Stop. Here's why I'm doing this.
Yes.
Porter, tell someone else because my earpiece went out, but we did call the school, and I'm not sure they're going to get back to us. Is that what they're saying? Tell Kimberly or someone, please.
Did we talk about